somebody has to crack new apparel for
Everyone,
the virtual.
welcome to our panel discussion on brand positions and impact on advertising. I would like to welcome our moderator for the discussion, Mr. Arnav Mitra, Managing Director, Liquid Asia. And now introducing our
Hi.
panelists for this session. We have with us Ms. Sonali Singh, Lead Digital Marketing, BFH, Home Appliances, Bosch Siemens. Mr. Vishal Bhatnagar, Sales Director, South Asia, BBC Global News and Mr. Arvind Bhandari, Executive Vice President, Director, Nutrition South Asia Region, Next. I would request all the delegates to keep posting their questions in the chat box and the panel will address the selected few at the end of the session. Over to you, Mr. Mitra.
Thank you. So firstly, thank you very much, IMAI, for organizing this event. I think I've been following the event since the beginning and some fantastic panelists and great perspectives. I've got some great speakers here as well. And our topic is very interesting, honestly. I mean, we were doing a trial yesterday and we wanted to just discuss how our the topic for today's conversation and what and how we must continue this session. And I think probably this is one of those panels where you can which is very future focused, and it kind of defines the pathway. Although I don't claim in the next 40 minutes we would define pathway for brands, but I think it's a very futuristic session. So thank you, Kalyan, team, IMAI, for organizing this. So without really, wasting time, we have got, our panelists ready. So I will straight go to, Sonali. And Sonali, why don't you just take first 60 seconds to introduce yourself before, and then I will possibly go to each one of the panelists to introduce themselves, and then I will start again with the questions. Okay. So Sonali, over to you. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Arnab. So for me, it has been a great journey while being a brand marketer. And I have been into domain and completely into consumer durables industry from last 10 years. So it has been an engaging and exciting journey for me. And currently I'm leading digital capability and also the brand communications at BSH Home Appliances. And we cater to three brands, which is Bosch, Siemens, and Gaggenau. So
Okay.
let's
Okay.
see.
Go on, Sonali.
Arnab, I feel from a brand perspective, it is not just about you and me. Today, it is more about many more in between. So that's how the horizon has expanded. If you see the whole post-COVID era or right from the beginning, our perceptions have completely expanded. So, what actually marketers are trying to do? So, they're trying to bridge the gap between the physical and online world. So, we are trying to create more and more engagement with, I would say, more
Yeah.
personalized messages than just being, very direct and straightforward, just harping upon only the brand values is not what is working in date of today. So,
True, and I will
certainly, I
come to you,
feel,
Sonali. I will come to you the question. I first want to just
sure.
introduce everybody. So I'll go to Vishal. Just a quick 60-seconder about yourself, so that our viewers get to know about you.
Sure. Thanks, Arnab. Yeah, Vishal Bhatnagar. I've worked with the BBC last 6 years here with the BBC Global News Limited in India. I look after the commercial business, advertising, and content for South Asia from here. And BBC, as you know, besides obviously television, now we are sort of more sort of pivoted towards digital first, and we have besides the English platform, which is bbc.com, we've got about 8 language platforms in India as well, including BBC Hindi, Tamil, Bangla, Urdu, etc. So clearly, digital is what is driving our growth forward, while television continues to be strong here. So that's about me. Back to you, Arnab. Thanks.
Yeah, super. Arvind, next to you, just for everybody, Arvind has written a new book, and I'm hoping that in the introduction he's going to talk about that. Arvind, why don't you
Yeah.
quickly introduce yourself? Though you don't need an
Thanks, Arnab.
introduction, but still, yeah.
Yeah, for the opportunity. Thanks, everybody. My name is Arvind. I've worked with Nestle for 13 years. I've worked on a lot of the brands that you may have consumed. Maggie, of course, which is nation's favorite. I've also worked in the dairy business, and I know the brands that others sort of in the company, Kit Kat and so on. So Kit Kat, Nescafe, and so on. Before that, I worked with Pepsi, the beverage company, with Frito-Lay in chips. I worked with agency J. Walter Thompson as a servicing person, and I was in sales in the ITC. So it's a career of almost 25 years working across different companies. Brands very exciting for me all the time. I write a lot for brand equity and so on, and I like to teach wherever I can. And the book Arnab you referred to, thank you so much for the exposure. This is the one.
Okay.
Pragmatism. It is not released yet, but it's on Amazon. It's a Harper imprint, and the point here is that between the marketing of the years that we learned in Kotler on the campus to the reality on ground now, a lot has changed, and we need to alter our perspective, make it more Indian, make it more pragmatic, make it more digital. So that is the view that we've taken in the book. Thank you so much.
Cool. So,
Congratulations.
yes, congrats, Arvind. So, I'll go back to Sonali. You were talking about, not you and me between brand and consumer. You were saying that there are many more in between. So, from that point of view, if I had to ask that in this many me, is the brand positioning somewhere getting diluted, or it's getting a new version, or it's kind of creating their own stories, like a Maggie example this Arvind just mentioned. It's nation's favorite because everybody has a Maggie story, right? Not just because they consume Maggie, by the sheer power of availability. So why don't you tell us, what did you mean when you say it's many between you and me?
So, Arnab, see, within every problem there lies more of opportunity. And that's what I also expect, like all us brand marketeers. So, we have a wonderful opportunity in date of today to create those strong touch points when we are trying to touch base with our audiences, with our prospective consumers. So clearly, the reasons to believe are there from always, and also our respective brand values. But when it is about today, so the communication has, crossed the barriers, and it is to create more of empathy, more of evoking a, positive message. Everything is connected, the emotions has to evoke right from what messaging I'm trying to use. So as you know, the ad formats have completely changed, so there's a complete paradigm shift in the kind of advertising we have been doing from last couple of months, I would say. So, gone are the days when we used to personify a bigger picture of the brand and, bring out those large brand messages and converse them through the TVCs and put heavy monies on that. But today, somewhere, ROI has taken a slightly backseat, and we are more focusing upon how do we remain true to the most of our brand values. So it has to be more accurate, I would say, and not just being aspirational. Well, that works absolutely fine, but considering in date of today, everybody needs a more of hand holding, and I would say there's a consensus across the globe between brand marketers and advertisers, how they have changed the whole language of communication. If you see the strongest of the brands, what they are trying to communicate today, so the message is clearly not on the product USP or on their brand equity which they developed back in the past years. So it's
If I just
more
take
on
a
the
learning from this, when you
togetherness.
said that from return on investment we move to more on return on empathy, coming
Yes.
to I think that straight brings me to a brand like Nestle, and that's why I really like the configuration of our panel. I mean, a brand that has stood for good food, good life for a very very long time. Arvind, um, what do you think? I mean, has it? I mean, of course, Nestle has become whatever we have, but from a point that what Sonali made, that return on investment taking a back seat. Do you agree to a brand which really likes to make its money work hard like Nestle?
See, money is a derivative of how well you satisfy the consumer need. if you satisfy the consumer need, the money will spin off. And there is a fair amount of commercial effort at work, investments, which cannot be ignored for a proposition to be sustainable. Now, your point about how have things changed? Look, not fundamentally. You see, positioning, brand purpose, these are things of a much bigger order. They pertain to basic consumer needs. They pertain to why you as a firm are well placed to service that need. I mean, an IKEA, which stands for simplifying life for everyday people, or Google, which wants to make information available at click, or Instagram, which wants to capture fun moments. They don't change with any situation. They are fundamental human need. But I think what Sonali was referring to, which I really liked, is that you have to contextualize. You have to make the story relevant. So your communication gets tweaked. Your quality of creative has to be modified to be really up the consumer's alley, to be able to empathize with them. But I don't think the brand fabric gets altered. And if you do it well, I think the return of investment will come. Return on the empathy is required because brands are all about loyalty. They're all about trust. They're all about relationship. And without empathy, it's not possible. So I think the empathy has to be, the marketeer's job is to be in conversation with the consumer. His primary role is to be really having a relationship with the consumers. And therefore, empathy is always important. And if empathy is tackled well, I think investment returns will happen. It's only when we don't understand the consumer and speak his language in the times is when the investments go awry, and then we start to toss up one versus the other. But I think the times are right to strike a new empathetic chord with the consumer. I think that's where the marketeers have to work hard. But their brand purpose will stay same. Maggie still as tasty as it used to be, but it needs to tell the consumers now it is safe, it is hygienic, it empowers you because within your home, without going out, you can have your favorite meal. So if you do that, your brand will grow because you've given a reason now in the circumstances. So that's my
Sure.
take on it.
So no, perfect. So I will, before I go to Vishal, I have one more, added question for you, which is, you spoke about things like, of course, I'm just keeping the brand purpose and positioning separately, but you spoke about loyalty, right? And as they say for the Gen Z or even the generations younger than that, loyalty is a lost virtue. So how does brands emerge in that situation?
So I differ a bit, Arnav. I don't think loyalty is a lost virtue. The loyalty of the yesteryears is something that has got reconfigured. So in the previous, when I was, let's say, younger in my brand experience, the loyalty could be managed with nice empathetic ads, good product proposition, uh, good endorsements from celebrities. Today, because of internet, because of people's interaction with everything in such a deeper way, you want to know more. So if your brand is transparent in other aspects which were not visible before, which is to say, how do you source? What is your trade practices? How do you impact the environment at the far end? What are you doing for the planet? If you are actually transparent about that, you can forget about loyalty. You can generate cult status for your brand. So
Okay.
the deal is you got to dive deeper, but the benefit you get is far more. So I think the equation has got changed. In my view, it's gotten more interesting for people who want. I mean, look at a Facebook and a WhatsApp. These brands are absolutely a part of you. We used to talk about Harley Davidson. It's old story now. The new brands of today are reflections of people's personality. But you can only be that if you are willing to be transparent with your consumers on who you are. From the point you start, which is your vision, your philosophy, to the way you source, all those were not in public view earlier. Now they are. So you got to dial it up differently, and your results and dividends can be much higher in my view, Arnab.
Super. So great perspective. I will just ask a question to Vishal on this. Vishal, from reflection of who you are and a comparison to BBC, which has been really a content provider of quality stature for in our growing years, to today when content is completely democratized, there is a WhatsApp University which is going on, and there are other platforms. How do you see, and maybe because you're a sales professional, maybe you see you'll still have pressure of revenue, but with the pressure of revenue, how do you think BBC is trying to evolve itself so that it continues to remain a reflection of youth in the future?
So thanks, Arnab. Interesting question, and we get asked that a lot, considering the legacy that we have of 100 years. I think before we talk about adaptability, certain core sort of promises or the values of the brands should not change and haven't changed, and that's the reason one needs to sort of once stayed on in a world where loyalties, as you say, are not what they used to be. Having said that, I think one also, the constant endeavor has to be to understand, like Arvind was saying, you need to understand your consumer. We need to understand our reader, and obviously how they are, moving from consuming content from when we started, or radio to television, now digital, obviously first, as I mentioned. So, to be intimately aware of how your audience is changing, that's very, very critical. And also to constantly sort of engage, be active to it, not just rest on the laurels. I mean, just because we've been successful for the first 99 years does not mean the same formula would work in the 100th year as well. So I think it's adaptability, just like for any other brand, for the BBC as well. Just build, on the core values, and also, use newer technology, use the newer tool that is available. We were always about, credible and trustworthy news, and we continue to be about that. It is just the delivery mechanism which gets changed, the delivery formats that get changed. Longer formats used to work beautifully earlier, documentaries, beautiful long stories. Now it is crisper, more nuggety content, but content built with the same values that works. And I think that's where we also bring those same sort of, that ability to tell those stories credibly is what we also bring to a lot of our partners when we
Right.
tell it. So I think being adaptable, being aware of, and not shying away from using new technology and tools to just do what you do really well.
So from adaptability, I think it naturally lends into this pre-COVID, post-COVID question, right? I'm sure all of you must be just kind of bored with the same question. I will still take 2 minutes and ask this to you, Vishal, first, and then to everybody. Because you are at the content delivery side, right? Do you think that the expectation from your partners who are funding that content delivery and your content creation team, are they coming together, seeing eye to eye, pressured by the other side? What is it? How do you see it, Vishal?
So I think, the benefit of having, a long history is that, you've obviously built up these experiences, and these sort of get imbibed in a lot of the practices as an organization that you do.
Mm.
So we've seen lots of these phases of transition, disruption. All obviously, these, as everybody says, are unprecedented times. But of course, we've had, a big pool of knowledge to learn on. At the same time, I think it's also, like I said, the need to constantly track where your audience is. Our audiences at this point in time needed authentic content more than ever. I mean, you're right about saying that there is democratization and there is fragmentation in sources of information, but we've seen that in times of crisis and disruption, people want to go back to sources that they trust. And I think our ability to, stay trustworthy, to be able to tell a story credibly, is what's brought newer audiences to us. In fact, a lot of younger audiences, now that we're available across devices, across formats, a tremendous amount of, new audiences is the young millennial audience that's coming back. So in this period, we've seen that people have wanted, trustworthy, clear, credible information more than ever before. I think there was a surfeit of speculative information all over, WhatsApp forwards, people talking about stuff which was very critical, like health, and some very random messages going out. I think that's where we sort of stuck to our job of making sure that we don't need to be the first out of the blocks on this. Our core sort of promise is not to tell the news first, but I think to tell the news and the information credibly, balanced and credible. So that stayed true, and that's how we've been able to work with a lot of brands during this time as well.
Sure.
We've employed. Yeah. Sorry.
No, yeah. So I'll go to Sonali actually. Sonali, this the same pre-COVID, post-COVID question for you. Is your marketing changing, the way you're talking, the way you plan things? Are that changing, or it's the same, or and how are you guys kind of adapting to that change?
So Vishal, I would like to thank Vishal. He brought the right perspective. As adaptability for sure is going to go in a long run. And I would like to just add on there first. It's not adaptability. It is has to do with accessibility as well, and creating a more value for the consumer is also very important. Creating a assurance message is what the need of the hour is. So while we all are like doing good, but doing good is not just a statement. There has to be a more human connection to that. Like for example, what we are doing in date of today. For example, if my appliance is solving a bigger problem, everyday routine problem for my consumer. So we say, for example, invented for life. So invented for life is not just a bigger value proposition or something which we believe in, but we are trying to deliver it in every day's routine work. Like and we have a solution it is delivering. It is clearly transparent that we are being true to that particular value. So that's where I, uh, as uh, as we just discussed, stories are still going to be best ways to connect with the audience, and that's what we are also trying to deliver and do in our messaging. And of course, the touch points are changing. For example, if you talk about moments of truth, so that's more on advocacy now. People believe in already the experiences which the consumers have had, like the complete purchase. If you look at tier 2 and tier 3 city that have on rise for be it household products in the last couple of months. So there is a rise because they already see the consumption pattern and believe in the kind of messages which are already put forward by the influencers, by the testimonies. So user generated content, I believe, would definitely be something which is going to pay us in the longer run. And that's what the content pieces were on.
No, so I think I will just take a leaf out of that and go to Arvind and ask Arvind, your book Pragmatism. I actually like the name. I think it's a good mashup. But tell me, how does it cover the new age meme marketing or micro moments?
Yeah,
Or do you, and because you've seen 25 years of marketing, and that's a very long
sure.
time, to must have to kind of witness change.
Yeah.
Do you think is meme marketing there to stay? The brand should brands invest? I mean, I just read Bud Light is hiring chief meme officer. And do you think that's a trend that's going to stay? Or, and if I take pragmatism into marketing, if that's what the book is all about,
Sure.
then is it pragmatic to invest in these new trends?
Okay, so two questions there. On the meme marketing, I'll come in a moment, but let me step back. See, times are changing. There is no doubt about it. Today, when we used to do classical marketing, it was a framework that used to work with, as Sonali mentioned, one long creative, 45 seconds. Today, you have to make many assets on digital platform. So times have changed, no doubt. But the book is also about the fact that the rules of marketing are same. The rules of marketing founded by David Acker and the Hathaway shirts, they haven't changed because the human beings haven't fundamentally changed. It's their interaction with technology which has given more offers, more options. So to answer your question in a broad way, one has to be conscious of changing, but one has to also hold what you are, because in 6 months to 1 year, it's a volatile world, as they say, VUCA. You'll have one more trend. Now, if you alter the complexion of your brand with every sweeping change, and all of them seem big, in Delhi in 3 months we'll have pollution problem, and that will take everybody's time. So a brand has to strike a balance between the continuity of what it is, its essence, its purpose, and the reflection of the changing environment. And the meme part is a part of communication with consumer, where consumers vibe with the creative. And I think the role of the brand there is to be able to give the power to consumer to express, but to step back and not become the meme itself. Because what is happening increasingly is that consumers are taking the brand in their own hands, and when that happens, you lose control, whether you like it or not. Sometimes they love you, sometimes they kick you. So you have to be comfortable with that intimate conversation. Vishal used that word intimate. I really like it. You have to be in intimate conversation, but you got to keep a distance, because times change, consumers change. Sometimes they're very radical, sometimes they're inflamed. There's a brand that said, even if you don't like me, I'll stay my course. And then people liked it for that. So in pragmatism, what I've talked about is you've got to strike a balance between change and continuity. Keep the continuity of the value, the purpose, change its expression, its mode, its technology, and increasingly give consumers more power, because that's the way the world is going. So, it is not one or the other. It's a mix of two. And that India is anyway a culture which thrives on hybrid. We are amazing nation. WhatsApp greetings are basically good morning, puja, jai mata di. Where in the world do you have that sort of technology usage? A techie geek turns up with ash smeared on his head, and a factory is inaugurated, high tech with Nariyal Porne ki ceremony. So we are very good at fusing. I think we will last this change also, but we cannot give up who we are as a culture and who we are as consumers with our fundamental needs. So all for me marketing, but the brand must have its point of view behind it. It's very important.
Sure. So I think that answers a question by this gentleman called Neeraj Modani, who asked that how brand position is different and important today and a decade before. So I think Neeraj, you have gotten your answer through this. I'll actually come to another interesting point. All brands, like both your brand and Sonali, I think it's been heavily advertised on television, right? Fundamentally, for a very, very long time, because digital wasn't there or even here. Now, when we say that we are now trying to become digitally first, and even Vishal, like from BBC to the articles, to television, and now to digital first, and to all of you all, and maybe we can start with Arvind, because we just heard from him, or go to Vishal and then come to Arvind and Sonali. Is that digital first? Okay, and I'm not going to ask direct question to you, but there are millions of brands today that have been built only on digital. They do not have the monies for television. They don't have monies for anything else. And they have they're really, really strapped on their budgets. So digital only brands, do you think they can actually create the same kind of connect, same kind of empathy, same kind of sentiment that brands with huge televisions and cinema projections could create, or billboards for that matter? Vishal, we'll start with you, then we'll go to Sonali and then Arvind.
I think the medium is just medium basically reflects the change in behavior. So if your audience is consuming a significant part of their content online, of course you can create a brand which essentially is online, as you say. And in terms of being effective, I don't think you need to spend millions of dollars. You didn't need to spend millions of dollars earlier as well if you were smart enough to use it, even with traditional media. I think the reason why we associate very large budgets with traditional media is because the measurement, the attribution, the quality of research that went into it was not as advanced as what you find online. Earlier, you had to run massive campaigns over large geographies to be able to derive those insights and understanding, and then probably introduce those changes. Today, you can monitor, optimize, effectively sort of monitor your campaigns, real time in that sense. So while your campaign is all, you can simultaneously test your creatives by market, by audience size, etc. So it's become far more efficient. However, what we also sort of discuss with our partners and do promote that is that rather than just focus on just audience acquisition metrics, it is very important, and that's where digital really helps, is also focus on the engagement efficiency of your communication. So there is no point buying massive amounts of inventory very cheap, but delivering the wrong message, not touching the nerve that you want to, not invoking the right emotion that you want to, and that's a complete waste, whether it is online or offline. So I think online gives you those tools, that measurement ability. You just have to be smart enough to use it. You can still waste millions of dollars online as well if you're not smart.
Superb. So from millions of dollars online, move to Sonali. The same question. Digital first brands, you agree to Vishal's point of view, or you think that it's difficult to achieve the same stature?
See, we have always tried to create messages which are media agnostic. So there's no hitch in saying that the clear brand channel which is now emerging is going to be digital. But for how long that is going to stay, that is, still a question, while we are intersection between, I would say, creativity and automation, as Vishal clearly touched upon the acquisition and leads. So that is very true. Somewhere we are trying to bridge that gap, and we are trying to win over through this digital channel as well, to create the whole branding experience. But somewhere, like for example, if you talk about my category, wherein if you talk about luxury segment, the built-in appliances, there's a long journey of consumer decision making. So sometimes it's more than 3 to 6 months. So then, consumers have a need to go touch and feel and experience the appliance before making a purchase decision. So while, as I said earlier, consumer advocacy is going to be a, because consumers are using social media to listen what other consumers have mentioned or written about their experiences. But somewhere we also will need those tangible touch points. So I would say this is a period wherein we can utilize digital as a channel for those strong brand ethos. But yes, tomorrow they can be delivered, and we have to have somewhere in the future also when the time is appropriate. That's how I see the
Okay.
evolution of home learning. Messages.
Okay, thanks. We're also kind of losing you, Sonali, so I'll just give this a break. Arvind, to you, digital only brands, can they ever become a Nestle?
Nestle, no. Okay, let me answer it very briefly. It's a very long question. I'll give it very sharp cut. Three perspective to is first media. So it depends on the kind of media you need to buy, as Vishal referred to. If you're a mass brand, digital is not the answer. Sorry. If you want to sell Maggie and Kit Kat in Nescafe, digital will not give you the reach. It's a media reality that you don't get the reach with digital even now. If you're a niche brand, what Vishal said is right. You can have intimate conversations. You can build a certain level of contact with the consumers and get going. So that's the media one. There's also a new variety, which is the hybrid, which is you do mass media, TV for getting reach, and you do digital for intimacy uh, or for building engagement. So that's a hybrid. So you take your TV, you get your reach, and you get your frequency and interactions. The
Sure.
second point is the creative question. It's important that in India you understand this thing that, and Vishal is in sales, I've worked in sales. People see TV ad as an endorsement of a high stature brand. You know, अगर TV पे ad देता है तो brand में दम है. ये
Exactly.
sales में भी बहुत
Very
matter
true.
करता है. You know, there
Yep.
is an aspect about creative running on mass media and prime time, which is very important for you to understand. And TV has that power with digital lacks. Secondly, TV drives behavior of the household because it's still a single TV household, whereas digital is very one-to-one. So if brands depend on a consideration where many people are involved, then you need to have TV. And the last point is about what Sonali referred to. People want the experience. So the reality of the world is research online, buy offline, or buy offline, research online. The hybrid will emerge, which means you have to be active in both formats. But I can tell you from a general mass marketing, mass brand perspective, the split is 70% mainstream and 20 to 30% digital at best. So we still have a while to go. I hope it gets there, but not currently available.
Okay, cool.
I
So,
hope I answered.
I mean, no, you did. I mean, your perspective, perfect. And I think I'm also aligned to the belief. But there are countries which have reached 50% split, and probably even the mass brands are being advertised in that market. So you're right. Hopefully, we will get there soon. We have also opened the floor for questions, and some questions have come in. I'm going to read it out. One question straight. Maybe this will again connect with Arvind. It says that how should a brand which is established about 2-3 decades ago now modify their marketing stance and strategy, and how difficult is it, or how investment intensive it is?
That has been in existence for 2 decades, it should have a very strong positioning. I think it doesn't need to alter that. It has to contextualize. So go back and check with your consumer, do research, and figure out how he's feeling about you. What is his pain point? What is his anxiety? Where is the gap today? Where is competition better than you? Once you understand that, go and plug it, but don't modify the fabric of the brand. 2 decades means something is working for you. Don't be swept by changes too often, too many. The brands endure beyond crises. But definitely modify the features, the product, the communication, the service level agreements if you're dealing with extended consumers, or your backend sourcing if changes need to be made in the ingredients or the packaging of your brand, of your product. Those I think should always be up for change. But the core of the brand, a Beetle is a Beetle. It stays. It needs to stay the way it is. Stands for safety. Looks a certain way. That cannot change. A Fab India or Naturals have a certain feel about them. They can play with a few things, but they must be inherently what they are. And I think any brand manager who's been on the brand for 20 years should know what his core brand asset is. A
Mhm.
Heineken, for instance, even if you put the star, people understand. So
Sure.
identify your core brand asset, stick to that, and change other things with respect to time. It's not invest heavy. It is just a lot of hard work, listening to consumer and doing some call research.
Okay, cool.
If I
So
answered.
there is a straight, yeah, it does. As a straight question for Vishal, it says that how should a brand try to maintain its credibility in this world? I think you answered this, but I think the next part of the question interesting. How should a brand be wary of the fake content which can hurt a brand's credibility? So, how does a brand which is, kind of getting the benefit of news identify the sources and the credibility of sources? Because there are multiple different types of websites that are popping up all around us.
Absolutely. Yes, I think, and it's increasingly becoming more critical, for the advertiser, for the marketer, brand owner, that what context, as Arvind mentioned, your communication is seen in. And, from a sales point of view, I think people buy from people they trust. And if your message that, if your brand that you've sort of honed, built in a certain way, is put in an environment which is completely incongruent to that brand's values, people will see that disconnect and they will not sort of really engage with your brand. I think increasingly today, which is why, this entire discussion, it's no longer a debate about brand safety has really come into play. Because I think brands have, some of them have burned their fingers, just spending money, like I said, just focusing on acquisition metrics, buying efficiencies without really, worrying about context. Is it being seen in the right, safe environment? And that's as important as buying audiences cheaply. I think it's also engaging with audience in a credible, trustworthy environment, which is in sync with your brand values as well.
Okay.
So I think that is important questions that marketers increasingly are, keeping as a factor when they decide media.
Super. So 5 minutes left, guys. Quick questions to all. I'll start with Sonali and then come back to Vishal and then go to Arvind. Sonali, people are not buying, right? And it's a difficult time. You run three very, very niche brands marketing. Pressure, impact. How do you still communicate? How do you still manage ROI? Quick answers, Sonali.
So we are trying to utilize this whole period in connecting with our audiences more and more, educating them. There has been a journey right from doing direct connects with our consumers, existing consumers. There are DIY videos which we are focusing upon while we are providing the services. There have been video conferencing with the audiences, those who want to purchase our products. So we are trying to take them through the entire virtual tours journeys. So that's what is giving us the benefit in the current period, because the consumers have more time, they have more bandwidth while to think about what they actually want to purchase. They can deep dive into the conversations. So we are trying to utilize the time to create those parameters which would tomorrow make them my prospective consumer to my consumer. So that's how I'm trying to utilize my journey. And the ones where I already have the win, we are trying to create a positive testimony. We are trying to revamp our whole content strategy, trying to put in the content pieces which will be more loved by our audiences, because they clearly want to hear and understand more of from us. Because if it is the niche category, the appliances which are completely technologically advanced, or there is connectivity and automation over there, so clearly the audiences want to know more about it, how it actually works. So there is a need of that, and we are trying to utilize this whole time to make them understand what it is all about.
So you're
Certainly
taking the
helping
knowledge
them
route.
with
Yeah.
their choices.
Got it. So you're just trying to make them, research better, take a more,
Yes.
decisive decision. So, Arvind, the first thing that were wiped out from India was Maggie, right? I mean, we couldn't find it during the lockdown. I went in 7 days, and the store said there's no Maggie left. So, did COVID-19 help? The situation helped the sales figures of Nestle?
Yeah, I mean, can't disclose some internal figures, but when we came
Not
back,
the figures, but yeah.
when we came back, we found the consumers. Maggie demand is there,
Mm.
and the answer to your question, which you raised before, is look, you have to the four P's of marketing: price, place, promotion, and so on. You have to modify
Right.
for the time. So you have to up maybe low price, or you have to look at your portfolio. You have to look at a new way to promote it, new way to place it, closer to consumer, less travel. But I think what is important now, and it's something I was thinking when Sonali was speaking, is that maybe marketers are looking at a situation where there will be a disruption. Call it this crisis or that crisis, there will be. I think we need to step back and look at our portfolio and ask what in my business is vulnerable, and really start to work on innovation which tackles that in a long term. Because I think the world is now not a place where we can play to the rules of the game as known before. They change.
Yeah.
And so I think every marketer must sit back and say, what is it that will prevent my consumer to come to me if there's a problem? And what can I do preemptively, and work on that very assiduously in the next few months so that you are ready with a crisis portfolio, as it were. Today
Sure.
we have a portfolio that is for fair weather. But if things go south, we don't know what to do. So I think the learning for all marketers should be get ready for a difficult time, for a disruption, and prepare something which will still stand for the consumer no matter how the situation unfolds. I think that is the larger question at work. Crisis will change color, but consumers will not go if you understand that piece.
Sure. So time is of essence here as well. We have to start winding up, as I'm being told. So not going to you, Vishal, but I think you already spoken about adaptability. Arvind, you said change is the only constant, and probably, and Sonali said that how we could use that change to create specific ways of marketing if people are not buying the products. So to sum up, I think my learnings are. I think it still stands that which you were discussing yesterday as well, Arvind. I think the basics will remain the same. It could be a COVID-19 today, it could be something else tomorrow, and it could be all good for the world as well. But the basics are going to remain the same way. I think, Vishal, you spoke about to build a credible brand and how focus on the ethos of the brand, so that even in 100 years, there could be, printing presses running from 650 million mobile phones around you, but you still continue to be the content hub. And I think we also spoke about how the formats are going to change, and that primarily will continue to fuel our marketing growth. So yeah, so that's all in all is what I have understood from this, and thank you very much, guys. For your time. All the best for your book, Arvind. I'm definitely going to order it as soon as it's available. Yes, thank you. And
Some shameless selling. Thank you.
and no, I'm going to send it to you for your note on that. Okay.
No,
So
loved having the discussion. Thank you so much.
And Sonali, thank you very much. Vishal, thank you very much. Thank you, IMAI, and all the sponsors again for organizing this. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.